So yeah, I think the odds are on Nets-Lakers for the finals right now. What would stop that from happening? The obvious is injuries. LeBron's had the groin and the sprained ankle. Anthony Davis, he had the Achilles, of course. And for the Nets side of things, I mean, we saw Harden on one leg. We saw Kyrie miss time against the Bucks, and Kyrie's missed a lot of time in his career up to this point, whether it's a knee or a shoulder or whatever. The next thing would be if the Westbrook fit on the Lakers is really bad, or if he's just going like 7 for 25 in playoff games. I'm just going to trust that a healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis can win with almost anything around them, assuming it's not terrible. And LeBron's influence will make Westbrook not take as many bad shots in big games. Maybe it is ridiculous of me to go on that ledge, but I'm going to do it. It might require more Anthony Davis at center, which reinforces the injury concerns, but well, man. To think about both of these teams as supporting casts outside of the big threes. For the Lakers, I think the shooting is good between Wayne Ellington, Kendrick Nunn, Bazemore. We'll see if Ariza's still got something in the tank as a 3-and-D guy. Malik Monk was awesome from 3 last season. His first 3 years, he was not good. So I think the Lakers could use like one more sure thing on defense, mainly on the perimeter. For the Nets, if Blake can hold up as their center, you got Bruce Brown. The Patty Mills signing was big. Nick Claxton can still be the switchy, athletic big who can roll to the rim. Joe Harris will hopefully not fall off a cliff in a playoff series. Anyway, to think about the respective conferences, let's start in the East. The Bucks are the main team that could beat the Nets, if the Nets are healthy, because Giannis could just kill them, and if anything, I think the Bucks could at least keep the Nets out of the paint more than any other team. You look at the other teams, I mean, the Heat, you could say put Jimmy on Durant or Harden or whatever. You put Lowry on Kyrie. You have the switchability of Bam. Also, they've got PJ Tucker, so you throw him at Kevin Durant. I get all that, but to me, the talent is the talent of it all. But Miami could give the Nets a headache. And if Trae Young ends up averaging 45 points against the Nets in a series, the Nets probably still win. And then there's Philly, who remain in this kind of weird limbo state since I don't know if the Ben Simmons relationship is salvageable. So I guess they're just kind of wait and see. Obviously, Embiid would dominate the Nets, but you've got to outplay the 3 other guys. So yeah, that's the East for you. We look at the West, I think the main teams to look at are the Jazz, Suns, Warriors, for challenging the Lakers. Unfortunately, the Nuggets and the Clippers are in a state of limbo themselves. Kawhi might miss the whole season, and even if he doesn't, he's going to miss a whole lot of time. And same thing with Jamal Murray and the Nuggets, so I think it's going to be very difficult for either one of those teams to go on a playoff run. So then you look at Phoenix. If Devin Booker improves his three-point shooting off the dribble, which is like the one thing he really needs to get better at, if CP can hold up, if they lean on DeAndre Ayton more, if Mikal Bridges develops more of an off-the-dribble game that he showed occasionally in the finals, then sure, I think they could certainly challenge the Lakers, but if it's really LeBron and AD healthy and Westbrook has fit in at least relatively well enough, I'm still going to pick the Lakers there. And when you look at the Jazz, it's like, look, man, whether it's going at the Clippers' small lineup, trying to defend James Harden and Chris Paul, trying to deal with the Nuggets in round 1 of the bubble, they always run into a good team and they don't know how to figure it out. And the roster is pretty much the same. It's the same coach. Yeah, they'll tell themselves that a healthy Mike Conley is the difference, but I'm just not super confident in the Jazz in a tough playoff series at this point. So then I look at the Warriors, and I don't trust Klay to be all the way back defensively. His shooting is going to be amazing, no doubt. And after that, they're relying on a lot of young dudes. You got Kuminga, who was one of the weirdest guys to read about for the draft, because people are saying he's raw, but they're also saying he has like shot creation skills. I'm like, what the hell is that? So we'll see if he can contribute like that right away. You've got Moses Moody, who they say is a good defender on the ball as well as a team defender. He's a good rebounder, and he's a guard, and he should be a good shooter. The questions with him are just how dynamic is he off the dribble and that type of thing, which to me is fine with the 14th pick. And then you got James Wiseman, and we know the story with Wiseman. It was the physical profile's good, and he did show some shooting signs early in the season, but it's the fundamentals. It's defending pick and rolls. It's not fouling. It's not biting on pump fakes. And it's just like the Warriors really need these three guys to be good next season, kind of right away. And if that doesn't happen, I just don't really see what the pathway is for them. And then I look at the rest of the West, and I still don't think Dallas is good enough around Luka. Sure, Reggie Bullock, that's a good addition. If they get Dragic, that's the type of guy off the dribble they could use next to Luka, take some pressure off of him, assuming Dragic can bounce back. He's, of course, not on the team as of right now. But it's still Porzingis as the number 2 guy, and that's still the biggest fear. The Blazers, they're not good enough. We know this. And the rest of the West, I mean, there's a lot of fun, interesting teams in there, but none that we consider title contenders. And then once again, the Clippers' best players out, the Nuggets' second best players out. So there you go, man. Obviously, injuries are going to happen, but assuming they don't happen to the Lakers or Nets, I think that's your finals.